Good morning and welcome to Pyramid Energy. I'm going to do a reading for you. Let's see what the cards say. I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, say things you don't understand. I can take myself dancing, yeah. I can hold my own hand. Oh, I can love me better than you can love me better. I can love me better, baby. So that song was on my mind just after I started shuffling. And I wasn't sure if it was because I heard it this week or if it's because it applies. But here we go. I have 4 cards here. I'm laying them out on the screen. I've got gifts, survival, bravado, and suffering. And what I'm seeing, especially in the gifts card, if you look at these little babies that are popping, they're either like they're opening these gifts. They don't have faces. There's a sense that they feel like spiritual babies. And what I mean by that is angels that have come to kind of help you unwrap gifts that you've had wrapped up for a while. And then on the other end, I've got suffering. I've got 2 guides here. It says divine teachers, but 2 guides here that they're handing healing into you. And it's as if, the spiral on, this is your higher self is what I'm seeing. And that higher self has got a connection to these teachers that are surrounding them, so that your higher self can actually communicate this healing energy to you. And you're crouching down here, obviously on earth, and needing to kind of open yourself up. And how this song connects for me is what they're bringing you here is courage to unwrap gifts that have been hidden inside of you. And I'm sensing that this is really much around negative chatter that came from somewhere external, from someone external. It does feel like a past relationship that left you in survival mode and kind of affected, 1, your stability, and 2, your courage. Because these two cards, the green and the red, is taking me very much to the heart chakra and the base chakra, the root. And you see that big hand that's being wagged down at, like you got this army, and you've spent so much time. You spend so much time fighting against this wagging finger. But what these cards are telling me is that you've been surrounded by your guides the whole time. You have warrior guides, you have healer guides, you have guides protecting your gifts that want to bring you a lot of joy, and you've got guides that wake you up when they feel like you've been in a slumber too long with unhealed wounds. I get a deep sense here of someone who is dealing with a tension of wanting to take charge, at the same time exploring what they love doing, their gifts, wanting to plant seeds, but struggling to let go of certain things. But what I've got in the main card here, I've got you closing a cycle. And so there's definitely an intention of closing a cycle, while still you're being pulled back by this thing, and I'm going to look into it. There is a fear of completely starting over. And this is not starting over in the greater external sense. This is an internal starting over. I see you having a view of all versions of yourself and sweeping your flaws to be able to start afresh. But while you're sweeping, you're coming across files, you're coming across unhealed wounds, unhealed parts of yourself. You're coming across boxes you'd forgotten about of, journals, memories of things that brought you pain. But at the same time, you're coming across other boxes of things that used to bring you joy. So I see you really tidying your mental heart space up. And what I'm seeing here is they're saying be patient. They're saying be patient with yourself, because there is actually a lot that you're working through. And some of it you'll want to burn. Some of it you'll want to keep. And the reason they're saying be patient with yourself is because this is officially a transition. You are moving away. And in your outcome, I've got the 6 of Swords. And this is very much around only having enough space on the boat to take what's necessary. And in this context, what is necessary is your gifts and what you love. And what is not necessary is everything that used to weigh you down. This is mental activity, and this is other people's voices. If I go back to that song, I'm hearing there are so many things that you can do for yourself. Things that you were told you cannot do for yourself. And I find myself getting upset when I hear some of this mental chatter. It's like it starts as someone else's voice, and then it takes on your voice. You have the recording, and then you have the transcript, and then you've got you reading off that script. And so we need to reverse this process, recognize that that is not a script you wrote. And the words that came to mind, I don't know if you remember Murder, She Wrote. This person tried to destroy parts of you by writing a story about you. And this is a reminder that you write your story. Someone else doesn't get to write your story. And I'm hoping that this is your waking up point, where you remember that you didn't write that script. And so now you can trash that script and you can write your own script. And this is going to require you to actually actively write it for yourself. And you're going to start to read from your own script. And that is a new beginning. And what's coming to mind now for me is this huge, deep, internal space that you walk with. There's this inner you that has so much going on in your heart and your mind, things that you don't even say to other people, things you don't talk about. There's an entire life within you that you're needing to guide and walk through on your own. These are not things that, when you talk about them, the solving doesn't happen in the way that it needs to. And again, you run the risk of additional scripts being added to it. And again, this is the song. It's like, these are things that you can do for yourself. These are things that you need to do for yourself. One, so you can learn how you're doing them for yourself, and retain, those grooves in your brain of knowledge, those grooves in your heart of like how to work through stuff. how to heal yourself. And that's why we work through these things ourselves, so that it comes naturally. It's like changing your heart flesh, it's changing your brain flesh to change how you function, and to realize, I'm actually seeing someone, I've got my eyes closed, I'm seeing someone writing these grooves into your mind and writing these grooves into your heart, the words that they want you to know, the things that they want you to think about yourself. And I'm seeing you like patting all of these things into place, clean slate, so that you can start to form your own grooves and your own writing in your mind and your heart. So this is quite a big shift and quite a big new beginning. I've also got grandparents here that I see it in the numbers. I've got grandparents here that want themselves to be heard in terms of their support in this transition. They're coming in. There are things that they know. There are things that they've been wanting to be repaired, and their hands are here helping you work through all this stuff. And they want you, as you're planting these seeds, because again, this is a multi-layered process you're going through. You are healing, you're making room, at the same time you're planting seeds. And so it's like a new garden, a new veggie garden that's being planted here, worked through. Like I've got that fork that you garden with, and you're lifting the soil and you're taking out rocks, and you're preparing this land. And they're saying, be mindful of what you plant, because we're supporting you here. And so what's happening is that there's no rush, but we are only going to allow what you love to be planted. That's the only stuff that we're going to help you water. Well, you're going to water it, but that's the only stuff that we're going to bless to grow. Because we want you to create a garden that's going to grow the veggies and the fruits that you love, and that you're going to want to eat, and that you're going to want to share. Nothing else. Nothing else. And as you try and lift something out of the ground that doesn't belong there, whether it's a weed or it's a rock, it's going to be easy, because we're supporting you and you're not doing it alone. And as you plant something, it's going to be easy. Whatever you're planting from heart to ground, we're going to help you with that. And the only delay is going to be whether what you plant is aligned with what your heart wants. But I'm going to tell you that this is not, I've heard warnings other times, be careful what you plant at this time, you're manifesting, so don't be negative, all of that. No, well, you've got room here because you're doing a lot of things at once. There is negativity here. It's not all like sunflowers and, light only. You're working through many things, but you got help. So you have a filter. In this time, you have a filter that's supporting you. And so don't be afraid if you come across something that is unpleasant. Stop, look at it, put your hand on it, look at it, analyze it. And if it's not going to serve your garden, chuck it. I usually place these cards in a certain order, and then when I ask for clarity, I lay them in the same order until I need to only clarify certain cards. And on this spread, I found myself placing them randomly over each other. And what this is also confirming to me is, don't worry about the back and forth. Be patient with yourself. Don't worry about the back and forth. Again, there are many things moving around at once. This feels like a renovation. A renovation where you don't have the luxury of moving out while all the work is done. And while you're there, it feels like hell. But it also is exciting because there's this rush of all these changes, and you get to put new tiles in the bathroom and like, oh, can't use the shower, but there's so many things happening, you know. You like moving some of the kitchen outside or whatever it is so that you can keep eating while you don't worry about that. It's a renovation, because when you're done, you're going to be, and however long it takes, these renovations, they always take longer than expected. And sometimes they feel like they cost way more than what you had planned or budgeted for. But once you're in there, the joy. I also see yourself being really honest with yourself, more honest with yourself than you've ever been, having the courage to face the truth. You know, it can get very confusing what you want versus what other people want. But I see you being very honest with yourself. And again, even though there's no risk here of planting something you don't want, it will not grow. It simply will not grow. The only things that have been blessed here are the things that make you happy. And they will grow. And I see you in your outcome, breathing fresh air. I also see more alignment than ever between your human, physical, fleshy self and your higher self. And I also see you very proud of yourself. And I also see you in a rhythm, and a flow of knowing exactly how to do things, exactly how to help yourself, exactly how to repair yourself should you stumble. I see you in a rhythm and a flow. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please will you click on like, because I really want these videos to make it to wherever they need to make it. Sending you so much love.